Hello, my dear students of third prep. Today we are going to have an algebra new lesson, which is solving an equation of the second degree in one variable algebraically and graphically. If you have a quadratic equation, it means a second degree equation. How can you find its solution set in two ways, algebraically and graphically? Let us start solving an equation of second degree in one unknown, graphically and algebraically. At the very beginning, what about the general form of the quadratic equation? It is f of x equals ax to the power of 2 plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c belong to the set of real numbers and a cannot be equal 0. Why a cannot be equal 0? Because if a is equal to 0, then 0 multiplied by x squared gives 0. So the equation will be of first degree and not of the second degree. And as it is a quadratic equation, so its greatest power must be 2. So the quadratic equation is ax to the power of 2 plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 0. If f of x equals 0, then ax to the power of 2 plus bx plus c equals 0. How can you find the solution set of such an equation? For example, if you have an equation as x to the power of 2 minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Yes, of course, you have studied the previous year how to find the solution set of such an equation. How? By making factorization. So, what about x power 2? It is x multiplied by x. What about 8? 8 is 1 multiplied by 8 and 2 multiplied by 4. Which group are you going to choose? You are going to choose the second group, which is 2 multiplied by 4. Why? Because their sum will be equal to 6, which is the middle term. So the factorization will be x minus 2, x minus 4 equals 0. In this case, you have two brackets multiplied by each other equals 0. So either x minus 2 equals 0 or x minus 4 equals 0. Then can you find the value of x in each case? Of course, yes. How? So x will be equal to 2 or x will be equal to 4. And in this case, we can say that the solution set is 2 and 4. What does it mean? What does it mean that the solution set equals 2 and 4? It means that when you substitute by the value of 2, by the value of x as 2 in the equation x squared minus 6x plus 8, it will give an answer equals 0. And also, when you substitute for the value of x as 4, you are going to find that x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals also 0. Now, let us see how to find the solution set of the equation graphically. Let us have an example. Draw the graph of the function f of x equals x to the power of 2 plus 2x minus 3 on the interval from negative 4 up to 2. From the graph, we are going to find the solution of set of the equation when x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Now let us see. By using your calculators and pressing mod table f of x equal and writing the equation, then you are going to start from negative 4 up to 2. So the table will be as x is negative 4, the value of y will be 5. As x equals negative 3, the value of y will be 0. As x equals negative 2, the value of y will be negative 3. As x is negative 1, the value of y will be negative 4. As x is 0, the value of y is negative 3. And when x equals 1, the value of y equals 0. And finally, when x equals 2, the value of y will be equal 5. Then, let us start to plot or graph this equation. How? By plotting the points negative 4 and 5, negative 3 and 0, negative 1 and negative 4, 0 and negative 3, 1 and 0, and finally 2 and 5. You are going to obtain a curve like that drawn in front of you. Then, from this graph, can you find the solution set? Of course, yes. The solution set is the point of intersection of the curve with the x-axis. So this curve intersects the x-axis at the 2 points, negative 3 and 1. So in this case, we can say that the solution set of this equation is negative 3 and 1. Then, as f of x equals 0, then the values of y equal 0 when x equal negative 3 and x equals 1. And this is what's meant by solution set of the equation. Now, let us have another example. Draw the graph of the function f of x equals x squared minus 6x plus 8 on the interval from 0 up to 6. And from the graph, find the solution set of the equation x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. By the same way, you are going to use your calculators to plot the table by starting for the values of x by 0 and ending by 6. So you are going to obtain a table like that in front of you. When x equals 0, y equals 8. When x equals 1, y equals 3. When x equals 2, y equals 0. When x is 3, y equals 1. When x equals 4, y equals 0. And when x equals 5, y equals 3. When x equals 6, y is 8. Now, let us plot the graph. You are going to obtain a graph as that in front of you. When the first point is 0 and 8, the second is 1 and 3, the third is 2 and 0, the fourth is 3 and 1, then 4 and 0, 5 and 3, 6 and 8. Then, as looking carefully to such a graph, you are going to notice that the solution set of this equation will be 2 and 4. And what does it mean? It means that as f of x equals 0, then values of y equals 0 when x equals 2 and x equals 4. How many solutions did you obtain? You have obtained 2 solutions, which are the 2 and the 4. Let us have another example. Draw the graph of the function f of x equals x squared plus 2x plus 1 on the interval starting from negative 4 up to 2. And from this graph, you are going to find the solution set of the equation x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. Also, by using your calculators, you are going to plot the table. First of all, the values of x starts from negative 4 up to 2. What are the equivalent values When x is negative 4, y equals 9. When x is negative 3, y equals 4. When x equals negative 2, y is 1. When x is negative 1, y equals 0. When x equals 0, y equals 1. When x equals 1, y equals 4. And finally, when x equals 2, y equals 9. Let us start by plotting the graph. The first point is negative 4 and 9. The second, negative 3 and 4. The third, negative 2 and 1. The fourth is negative 1 and 0. Then 0 and 1. Then 1 and 4. And finally 2 and 9. When you look carefully to such a graph, you are going to notice that the solution set of such an equation will be negative 1. So, as f of x equals 0, then the values of y equals 0 when x equals negative 1 only. How many solutions do you have? It is only one solution. Why? Because the curve intersects the x-axis at only one point. So in this case, we can say that we have obtained only one solution. Another example, draw the graph of the function f of x equals negative x to the power of 2 plus 6x minus 11 on the interval from 0 up to 6. And from this graph, I want you to find the solution set of the equation x squared minus 6x plus 11 equals 0. By the same way, you are going to try to plot the table so as to draw the graph. By using, of course, your calculators, you are going to obtain a table like that in front of you. When x equals 0, y equals negative 11. When x equals 1, y equals negative 6. When x equals 2, y equals negative 3. When x is 3, y equals negative 2. When x equals 4, y equals negative 3. When x equals 5, y equals negative 6. And finally, when x equals 6, y equals negative 11. And you are going to obtain a graph like that in front of you. You are going to notice that the graph is open downwards. Why? Because the coefficient of x power 2 is with a negative sign. So the graph will be opened downwards. Then, what is the point of intersection of this graph with the x-axis? Of course, yes, there is no intersection. So in this case, we can say that the solution set of this equation will be phi, as there is no point of intersection between the curve and the x-axis. And here in this case, we can say that as f of x equals 0, then values of y equals 0. No, there is no solution. So we can say that there are no values for x as y equals 0. And here we can notice that there is no solution. Sometimes they ask you, what about the number of solutions? Don't tell me that it is phi. I'm not asking you about the solution set. The solution set is phi. But when I ask you about number of solutions, you are going to say that the number of solutions will be 0. 0 solution. Now, what about the algebraic solution by using the general rule? Sometimes you have a quadratic equation, and when you try to factorize it, you are going not to find a solution. So let us see how can you find it by using the formula. We can solve the equation of the second degree, ax to the power of 2 plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c belong to R and a is not equal to 0, by using the rule or the formula which says that x equals negative b, positive or negative, square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. This rule can be used for all quadratic equations. But if you can factorize, it is easier. If you cannot, you are going to use this rule. The value of b is the coefficient of x, the value of a is the coefficient of x to the power of 2, and c is the absolute term or absolute value. What about, or what is the meaning of absolute value? It means that it is the value which is free from x, which has no x. Then, let us see how can we use such a formula. Let us have some examples. Find the solution set of the equation 3x to the power of 2 equals 5x minus 1, rounding the result to the nearest 2 decimal places. Please look carefully. After you find the solution set, you are going to make an approximation for the result to the nearest 2 decimal places. Now, let us see. The equation 3x squared equals 5x minus 1. You are going to put it only on one side. How? You are going to write it as 3x to the power of 2 minus 5x plus 1 equals 0. At the very beginning, we must put all the equation on one side equals 0 on the other side. What about the values of a, b, and c? Of course, yes, a equals 3, b equals negative 5, and c equals 1. Then, by using the formula, x equals negative b, positive or negative, square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. By substituting to find the value of x, it is negative. Instead of b, it is negative 5, positive or negative, square root, instead of b, write negative 5, all to the power of 2, minus 4 times, instead of a, write 3, instead of c, write 1. So it is 4 times 3 times 1. Over 2a, it means 2 times a, which is 2 times 3, which is equal to 5, positive or negative, 25 minus 12 over 6. So it is 5 positive or negative root 13 over 6. In this case, we can find that the solution set will be 5 plus or minus 3.61 over 6. And here we can say that the solution set after approximation is 5 plus 3.61 over 6, which gives 1.44, and the other one is x equals 5 minus 3.61 over 6, which gives a result after approximation as 0.23. So in this case, we can find that the solution set equals 1.44 and 0.23. Let us have another example. Find the solution set of the equation x brackets x minus 1 equals 4. Then, by the same way, the equation x minus 1 equals negative 4, you are going to find it as x squared minus x plus 4 equals 0. Then we can say that what about a? It is 1. What about b? Negative 1. What about c? It is 4. By substituting for the value of x, or to find the value of x by using the rule negative b, positive or negative, square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. By substituting, it is negative 1, positive or negative, square root negative 1 to the power of 2 minus 4 times 1 times 4 over 2 times 1. Take care when b is with a negative value, so you are going to put the b in brackets. Then you are going to obtain a result as 1 positive or negative square root 1 minus 16 over 2, which gives a result as 1 positive or negative square root negative 15 over 6. What do you notice here? You are going to notice that square root negative 15, you cannot find a value for square root of a negative number. So in this case, we can say that the solution set of this equation will be phi. Why? Because you cannot find a value for square root of a negative number. Then the solution set will be phi. And in this case, when you draw it graphically, you are going to notice that the graph or the curve is not going to intersect the x-axis at all. So the solution set will be equal phi. Let us have another example. Find the solution set of the equation x plus 4 over x equals 6, approximating the result to the nearest 3 decimal places. Now, look carefully to the equation x plus 4 over x equals 6. When you look carefully to such an equation, you are going to notice that it is not in the form of the quadratic function. As the quadratic function, its greatest power must be the second power, power 2. So in this case, you have also another problem. So as there is a denominator which is x. How can you overlap such a problem? Yes, you are going to multiply the whole equation by x. Then when you multiply the whole equation by x, it is x multiplied x gives x power 2. Plus, when you multiply 4 over x by x, you are going to reduce x with x, so you are going to obtain 4 equals 6 multiply x gives 6x. By putting the whole equation on one side equals 0 on the other side, so you are going to find that x squared minus x plus 4 equals 0. Now it is in the general form of the quadratic equation. So we can say that a equals 1, b is negative 6, and c equals 4. Can you substitute to find the value of x? Yes, by using the formula, which is negative b, positive or negative, square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Then by substituting, so x equals negative brackets negative 6, positive or negative square root, as b is negative, so it is written between brackets, so it is negative 6 all to the power of 2, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 4, over 2 times 1, which gives 2. Then you are going to obtain a result as 6 positive or negative square root 36 minus 16 over 2. By subtracting 36 minus 16, you are going to obtain a result as 6 positive or negative root 20 over 2. And then it is going to be 6 positive or negative 2 root 5 over 2. By simplifying, you are going to obtain a result as 3 plus or minus root 5. So x will be 3 plus root 5, or x equal 3 minus root 5. And in this case, we can say that the solution set is 5.2360 or 0.764. After reducing, it is 5.236 after rounding, and 0.764 also after rounding to the nearest 3 decimal places. Another example, find the solution set of the equation x over 3 equals 1 over 5 minus x. Now you have such an equation. X over 3 equals 1 over 5 minus x. When you look carefully to such an equation, you cannot find the values of a, b, and c. Why? Because this equation is not in the general form of the quadratic equation. What are you going to do? You are going to make cross multiplication. So it is x multiplied by 5 minus x equal 3 times 1, which gives 3. Then by multiplying x by 5 minus x, it is obtained as 5x minus x to the power of 2 equals 3. By putting all of the terms on one side equal 0 on the other side, you are going to obtain an equation as x squared minus 5x plus 3 equals 0. Can you find the value of a? It is 1. B, negative 5, and c equal. Try to find the values of x by using the formula negative b, positive or negative, square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. By substituting, so x equals negative, negative 5, positive or negative, square root, negative 5 between brackets all to the power of 2, minus 4 times 1 times 3, over 2 times 1. To obtain a result as 5 positive or negative, square root 25 minus 12 over 2, which gives a result as 5 positive negative root 13 over 2. And in this case, x equals 5 plus root 13 over 2, or x equals 5 minus root 13 over 2. And in this case, we can say that the solution set is 5 plus root 13 over 2, or 5 minus root 13 over 2, and we are going not to change it into a decimal. Why? Because the problem didn't ask you to round it. So you are going to keep it as it is by using the square roots. By the end of this example, we have reached the end of our lesson. I wish that all of you understood it good, and we'll meet next lesson. Bye-bye.